Coding. Hello, guys, and welcome back to Life's Deceit with your host, me, Jen Simpson. How are you guys doing? I hope that you guys are doing amazing. You had a fantastic day. You're enjoying your week. Whoop, whoop. To my Americans, are you guys gearing up for Thanksgiving on Thursday? You're going to spend time with family, your loved ones, and have a good bite to eat. Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. This week, today, I have a very special guest, and I'm excited to unwind. I'm excited to talk to her. I'm excited for her to be present, not only in my life, but a gift to the world. So, guys, without further ado, I want to welcome my special guest, Sathya Callender-Wilson. She is the CEO of Scars of Survival magazine. She's a powerhouse. Ooh, guys, a powerhouse. Fierce, strong, bold, determined, and purposeful. Guys, she is living in purpose and she's not afraid to say it. So, welcome my guest, Sathya.
Hello, how are you?
Hi, Sathi. How are you doing?
Hi. Thank you for
Welcome.
having me.
Thank
Yes,
you for
thank you for
accepting to
having
be
me.
my guest. I was so excited when I sent you the email. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have her as a guest. Thank you so much for being present tonight. How are you doing?
You're ve- I'm doing well. Doing well. No
You look,
complaining.
you look good, so you
Thank
better be doing
you.
well.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So I am excited to unravel with you and just dive right in. I've been waiting to speak to you and let the world get introduced to you and your amazing and phenomenal. I don't even want to call it a mission. It's your life. You're living in it. You are a living proof that you could do anything despite what you're going through in life.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
I don't
Absolutely.
want to tell my guest about you. I want you to tell the guest about you. So can you introduce yourself and tell them like what you do? Tell us about your journey in life and what brought you to today.
Absolutely. So my name is Mrs. Sathya Callender-Wilson. I just recently got married, January 10th of this year. I am originally from Brooklyn, New York. I now live in Atlanta, Georgia. I am the overcomer of a 9-year domestic violence relationship, which led me to become a domestic violence advocate today. I'm the CEO and founder of Scars of Survival Incorporated and Scars of Survival magazine. I am a mentor. I'm a go-to. I'm a mother, a wife, a sister, a auntie, a godmother, a daughter, and I can go on and on and on. I wear many hats, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Um, I I went through, like I said, I went through a 9-year domestic violence relationship, which after I was able to survive that relationship, I began my healing journey. But it wasn't an easy one. I found myself in another relationship right after. And that person was the person that actually helped me and the children to get out of that domestic violence relationship. I jumped right into another one. I got married. I became a army wife. And I found myself toxic. I didn't give myself time to heal. And this is why I always tell people, when you get out of a toxic relationship, you need to give yourself time to heal. Because if not, you can become toxic. And I was toxic.
I agree.
Um, I'm not saying he was a perfect man. He had his faults, but I didn't help it any. I added fuel to the fire. Here I am trying to heal from a toxic relationship while receiving love from someone who loved me and my children, and then trying to love. It didn't work out. So we stayed married for 5 years. Um, and I would say most of it was a lot. It was a lot of downs. Um, I struggled to try to accept this and also heal from that 9 year. That's a long time. A long time. um, to have gone through something traumatic like that, to try to get into something new immediately after, and then try to maintain a healthy marriage, it's a no-no. I
Yeah.
didn't give myself time to love me. I didn't give myself time with my children. It was right into another relationship. And so, of course, it didn't work out. And then I found myself dating a couple of times, and that was an epic fail. So I said, you know what, God, I'm done. There, there's no more me looking for a man, because in the word it says, a man that findeth a wife findeth a good
That's
thing,
good.
not a woman that findeth a husband, right? So
Right.
I said, okay, well, maybe this is why this thing is not working out, because I'm taking my time to look for what God told me I'm not supposed to be looking for. So
Right.
I got to the point where I was like, you know what? It's just me, God, the kids, my businesses. Forget about a man. And I forgot about a man.
Yeah.
And so
You know what
when
I
they tried to,
find?
yeah, when they tried to talk to me, I was so like bitter, you know, just very short
Angry.
with my responses. I didn't want to be bothered, truly. Um,
Yeah.
but then I met my husband today, Mr. Wilson. And when I met him, it just, all I saw was a friendship, right? I didn't see nothing more. But that led to dating, to engage, and now we're married. And so I truly feel like I married my best friend. He does bring the best out of me. Um, I love him so much, but he is my headache, my headache too. And I'm sure he'll say I'm his headache too. um, but he does, try to bring he bring the best out of me. And he is my best friend. He will correct me, when I'm wrong, and he will celebrate me when I'm doing amazing things. Um, and now we're getting ready to partner together. He wants to start another business. I'm like, oh my Lord, have mercy.
So I wanna ask, like, a lot of people go through domestic violence, and a lot of times we don't realize how much more it happens. Because when it happens to you, you're kind of like, okay, well, I'm the only one.
Hmm.
I'm the only one that it's happening to, right? So for people who are listening and they've completely given up on their relation, on looking for a partner, and trusting that God is going to bring a partner to them or give them that soulmate. How did you find that courage and that little bit of hope still to be like, okay, well, let me try again?
Well, I'm gonna go back to this, and which will lead to that. Okay, when I was going through my healing journey, and my abuser called me to apologize, I did not accept it. Right? I couldn't even stand to hear his name. That's how bad it was. And I remember talking to mommy one day, and mommy said to me, how do you expect God to forgive you if you don't forgive others?
Right.
And she said it to me twice. And all I said was, but mommy. And she said, there's no buts. How can you expect God to forgive you if you don't forgive others? And I, it pondered, like it sat in my brain for a while. And I said, God, help me to forgive this man so that you can forgive me. Not for him, but for me. So I found the courage to forgive him. And that was the best thing I could have ever done, because I felt so relieved, you know? I felt a sense of relief. I felt free, right? Um, so I always tell people, you have to forgive. That's part of your healing journey. And it might sound impossible, but it's not. It might, it's challenging.
Yeah.
And I'm a witness to this challenging. Like, why would I want to forgive somebody that almost took my life? But we have to think about all the things that we've done that God didn't appreciate, right?
Hmm.
But he still gives us grace and mercy, right? So that's what I thought about, and let it help me to find in my heart to forgive. But now, to get the courage to start dating again, that was something totally different. Like, after, I would say you first got to heal, right? You got to go, you have to go through that process. Like, you really truly have to start loving you again. You really have to find who you are, learn who you are all over again, right? You got to submit yourself to God. You have to, right? To know what your God-given purpose is. All of that has to come, in my opinion, before you before you meet who God wants you to have in your life.
Yep.
People say, he completes me. I don't In my opinion, I don't agree with that. I don't agree that your partner should come in your life and complete you. You should
No,
be already whole. You should be already whole before you get into a relationship with somebody.
I
Period.
agree because when a lot of people say that, right, and if something happens in a relationship, they feel like they're not complete anymore. They're
Mhm.
broken, they can't move, they can't function. So I believe that you have to be whole before you meet your soulmate or that person that's yours, the person that God designed for you. Because then when you come together, it's a
Powerhouse.
whole other level of powerhouse.
Yes,
It's not, okay, well, this person strengthens me. Nah, it's you both strengthen each other.
absolutely.
It's like they say iron sharpens iron.
It's so true.
So you're both supposed to sharpen each other. And even when the other one's down, okay, there you are to build that person back up. So if you're not whole coming into the relationship, how are you going to build that person up when they feel like they're down to nothing? So I agree with you on that. A lot of times we say, okay, well, we have to find our person to be whole and complete. I don't believe that. You have to be
Mhm.
whole. You have to allow God to make you whole. You have to allow God. And we go through life where, oh my gosh, you'll think that this thing is your purpose. Then you like this thing and you're like, wait, God, so which one is really my purpose? Is it this one or is it that one? And I feel like as we're growing through life, we're transitioning. We're learning things about ourselves. We're moving in different stages. Some things just aren't a part of our purpose anymore. It might have looked like it was in this one season, but it's no longer a part of it, right? So it's like a
Mhm.
relationship. Sometimes we're with people and we think, okay, well, this is it. This is end all be all. So we don't allow ourselves to heal and for God to proper flourish us into who we're supposed to be. So that
Absolutely.
when our soulmates and our God fearing woman or man enters our life, it's a
Woo!
whole other awakening and
it's,
feeling.
it's
So I'm
I'm
listening to you
telling you,
talk and I'm like, I understand because, when we go through heartbreak, you don't want to let go of that heartbreak. You want to hold on to it.
it's true.
It's like a piece of thing you still dangle in the back of your mind, like, okay, it was something special. No, it was a season in your life, as painful as it was a season that you have to allow yourself to break away from and heal.
Hmm.
So my next question is, I hear it so many times. When I was younger, let me tell you one thing I said when I was younger. I used to have friends that were in some real toxic relationships as teenagers. And I used to say, that could never be me. Mm-mm. If that were me, I would do this, I would do this. I said all the things that I would have done until it hit me. And I was like, what do I do? I don't know my head back from my front. I don't know if I should go right or left or start jumping up and down and crying. And you always hear judgmental people say, that could never be me
Until they get in that situation.
until they get in that situation.
Hmm.
And then there's the question of, why didn't you just leave? You
There's
knew he
so
was like
many.
that.
You know what? Whenever I have the opportunity to speak, that's one thing I always tell people to stop doing. Stop telling someone in a situation, girl, it couldn't be me because I would do so and so. Because truth in the matter is, you don't know what you would do unless you was in that situation, right? So we need to learn how to stop telling somebody that because that you don't know what you're gonna do. You have to actually walk that walk to see what you would do in that situation. And that's just the truth. So
Exactly.
we need to stop saying that. And when you, what you just said about, why do people stay? There's several reasons why people stay in a domestic violence relationship. First of all, you have no self-esteem. Most of us have lost our self-esteem, right?
Mhm.
They've teared us down to believing we're nothing and that they're all we have. So we shut down from friends, family, everybody.
Yep.
Um, and so just imagine trying to leave somebody when you feel like that's all you have from the beginning. Number two, finances. A lot of us went through financial abuse. So I know for me, I was working, but he was taking my money. So where was I going to go when I didn't have no finances because he was taking it all? So a lot of people stay because of that reason. A lot of survivors, they don't know anything about a resume. They don't know anything about a job interview. All of the skills are gone, right? Because the abuser has kept them secluded. So again, where am I going to go? I don't know how to put together a resume. I don't know anything about a resume. I don't know how to conduct the interview. I don't know how to begin applying for an application. All of these skills, they you lose all of it. And those are just three reasons why survivors stay in, or people stay in, a domestic violence. And then you have children. Some people feel like it's the worst thing you can do is leave that relationship because you have children. But let me just tell you this: you're only going to make matters worse by staying. It's worse for the children to stay in an environment like that. And I know because I have five. And four of my five, well, no, four of the five were abused, and five of the five witnessed it for me. So it's worse to stay in something like that and say you're dealing with it because of the kids. You're doing no justice for your children at all. You're
Yeah.
making it worse. And then they'll grow up. They can be a statistic, right? They can either be an abuser, they can either be abused, or with the grace of God, they can say, you know what? I've witnessed this. Mommy went through this. I'm
Yeah.
not going to go through it, right? But in my opinion, there's a thin chance that it'll happen that way. So you got to be very careful. Sometimes it's better just to go ahead and go. Um, find somebody that you trust that you can talk to about the situation. Um, always, and I'm always going to share this too. The National Domestic Violence Hotline is very resourceful, very resourceful. They have all kind of resources all over the United States. And I believe outside the country as well.
Yeah.
So find somebody that you can trust and grab a hold of a safety plan. And if you've never been in an abusive situation, the best thing you can do is be a listening ear
And say nothing.
and make sure you have a safety plan on you, in your car, in your purse, because you never know who you might come across in that grocery store, at that movie theater, at that amusement park, at church, just walking your dog. You don't know when you'll come across somebody that's in that situation. You can be walking your dog and see somebody sitting on the bench crying, don't know where to go, what to do. They just left that abusive situation. So, for those of you that want to be supportive, those are the two things I suggest. Have your safety plan and always have a non-judgmental. I'm going to say a non-judgmental listening ear. I can't just say a listening ear because people have a listening ear, but they're judgmental.
Yeah.
Have a non-judgmental listening ear, because the worst thing you can do is listen to that survivor, and as they're sharing what they're going through, you're judging them. The only thing you're going to cause them to do is shut down. And when they shut down, they're going to feel like they have nobody to go to. And when they don't feel like they have nobody to go to, they're going to find themselves back in that situation. And sometimes people don't make it out. You might be the last person that individual gets a chance to speak to before it's too late. So you have to be mindful the things you're saying out your mouth. And that's why I said have a non-judgmental. A non-judgmental. That means you don't judge them. Have a non-judgmental listening ear. It's very important.
Yep.
Very important.
People, a lot of people suffer
And
in
know
silence.
that if you're in that situation, you're not alone.
Yep.
Yes. And they suffer in silence because they don't trust anybody, right? Because they feel like they have nowhere to go because people are judgmental. But I'm here to tell you, you're not alone. I, amongst many people in that village, is here to help you genuinely and passionately. You're not, no, you're not alone. And somebody's listening or will listen, just know that you're not alone. You have, there's resources, and people that can get you the help that you need. So,
I agree. A lot of times we have friends that are judgmental and we go to the wrong people
hmm
to hear something and you just wanted to pour out, but they're just stripping you away and
yes,
labeling you, and that pushes you right back in, and it keeps you stuck in that relationship when you could just give a word of advice and just encourage the person.
it's
This
so
is
true.
what we're gonna do. It may not happen today that you leave, but I'm gonna continue to check on you. I'm gonna continue to pour into you
hmm
and
It's
then
important.
help them to get out of it
hmm
gradually. So I wanted to ask, what was what was it that got you out of the relationships? I know that you said that um your second person that you date, or the other person that you started dating, was the one that helped you and your kids get out of that domestic violence situation. But what allowed you to trust that person and follow through?
Okay, so I met him maybe, mm, maybe 3 or so years before I actually got out of the situation. Um, and I met him trying to find a friend. He was deployed, and my friend was deployed. So I had the mentality then that everybody that was deployed knew everybody, and that's not true. So
Right.
at the time, he was going through things, and I was going through abuse. Um, but I was ashamed to tell him, so I didn't tell him. So we would communicate here and there. Um, Sometimes we go a whole year or more, and we didn't communicate. And so I kept going through it. And one day he called. I had moved from North Carolina to here to Georgia, and he called to check up on me and the kids. And he heard the nonsense, the cursing, the everything. Um, and the abuser had took my phone and threw it. And when I was able to speak to him again, he said, he said, I heard it. He said, and you're not to be going through that. That's not okay. He said, and if you don't do something about it, I am. And I listened to him, and I said, what is he gonna do? He's not in this part of Georgia. He's all the way near Savannah. So I just really thought about it real hard, but that wasn't enough. What did it for me was one day I had went in the kid's bedroom, and I was getting them ready. It's time to go to bed, school tomorrow. And I looked, and I don't know what led me to look underneath pillows. But as I looked under my kids' pillows, they had knives underneath their pillows. And I said, guys, what are y'all doing? And they just looked at me and gave me this look. And I said, what are y'all doing with knives underneath your pillows? And they said, Mommy, if you don't do something about it, we are. We're going to do something to him because we're tired, Mommy. And to hear my innocent children say that to me, and some were in elementary and someone junior high school. And to hear my children say that to me, I said, God, I got to get out of this. Because if I don't, somebody's going to get hurt and somebody's going to go to jail. All because of me choosing to stay in this toxic relationship that I had no business being in from the beginning. And so I remember what my friend told me. And I said, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't have no money, this, but I got to get out of this relationship with my children. And so I made that decision quickly. And I told my friend, I said, I'm ready to go. I don't have no money. Where am I going to go? He said, don't worry about it. Let's find you and the kids a place. He said, I will pay the deposit. If you have to pay a deposit, I will pay the electricity. I will get the truck. Let's move the stuff so you guys can go and never look back. And he came all the way from near Savannah, and he did just what he said he was going to do. And that day, I left, and I never looked back. So
You
it
you
took
broke a whole
me.
generational cycle from being forced into your own children's lives, because a lot of times we don't pay attention to how the kids are being affected, and the
Mm-hmm,
fact that kids are aware of everything. And what either happens is it either blocks them, it takes a whole root in their own life, and then they become either the victim or the abuser.
mm-hmm.
You broke a whole generational cycle and saved your kids from having to heal from what you healed from. And I don't think anybody understands really the magnitude of that. When you see it and you know that you have to do something about it, not even for yourself, but for them, because they didn't ask to be born into that,
It's
and they
true.
didn't ask to live in that. So the fact that you did that for them, that's the greatest gift, one of the greatest gifts that you could give to them, was allow them to live free and make their own decisions of how they want to live without having to be forced to relive their mom's traumas.
Mm-hmm. It's so true.
That's it's amazing, and I commend you for that. I don't That alone is something to be awarded for. Because a lot of times we forget about the kids. We're so wrapped up, and I grew up in it. My mom, my stepdad always fighting, and police coming every other weekend, and seeing blood and stuff. And I always wish that my mom had the strength to want something different for my siblings and I.
Mm-hmm.
So you doing that, that was literally, you gave them strength and life. You gave them permission to live and keep living and growing and learning and unlearning.
It's so true.
And then you did something phenomenal again, not even because of what you went through, but because you wanted to be an outlet and a source and a resource for other people that are going through life. You birthed Scars of Survival magazine.
That's my
You
baby.
birthed Scars of Survival magazine. And guys, hold up. I got to be featured in that magazine. And I didn't even know that I was going to get the opportunity to meet this powerhouse, phenomenal woman that I could call sister. I had no idea I was going to be able to meet her. I had no idea I was going to be able to have her on the podcast, gracing you guys. But the magazine, tell us what made you birth that magazine.
Okay, so I got to take it back a little bit, Sissy, for a second. Um, because this kind of leads up to that, right? So as I was going through my healing journey, um, and it was at the end of it, or no, I was, I was, I was healed. I had overcame. God had given me this vision to start this show, and I wrote it down as plain as I can see it. And I reached out to one young lady. I met her and I told her about it, and I trusted her. So I told her about it, and she said, I got the right person for you. She connected me to who I didn't even realize was going to be my publicist at the time. And so I remember being on the phone with him, and he said to me, this is what I want you to do. Before I say I'm going to work with you, I want you to really submit yourself to God and ask God, what is it that He wants you to do? What is your purpose? And I said, okay. So I remember that night, I did that. I dropped on my knees, I submitted myself to God, and the tears was rolling. And I said, God, I said, you kept me. I said, and you kept me for a purpose. And I said, what is that purpose? What would you like for me to do? And as clear as I'm talking to you, he said, you overcame. Now you need to go out to the masses and you need to help them to survive, heal, and thrive. And so I called the PR the next day and I said, I know what my purpose is. And we met, we had a talk, and I said, I just want to help. I want to help people so other survivors to survive, heal, and thrive. And he gave me some time to think of a name, come up with a name. It took me a week. And I was like, I don't know what to do, what kind of name, what this. I started doing searches and all kind of stuff. And then I thought about I survived and I seen the mark on my finger from where I had surgery because I was in the abusive relationship. He fought me and broke my finger. So I had to have surgery. Um, and I see the scar on my finger, the keloid that's left from surgery, and where they had to put pins in my finger, I see the mark from the hole. And I said, I survived that. It left a scar, but I survived it. And I said, scars of survival. And I kept pondering on it. And I told my ex, I said, scars of survival. But wait, that don't sound right. I kept going like another week. I was going around it, pondering, but it don't sound right. And he said, that's what your name, that's what the name needs to be. Don't, he said, don't put too much think into it. Just, that's what it needs to be. So I called my publicist and he said, now I'm going to connect you with someone who's going to do your logo. And I said, I don't know what the logo should look like. He said, don't worry about it. Just give him the name. And when I gave him the name and my mission, he created my logo. And he used the colors purple and teal, which purple we know has a lot of meanings, but one, it represents domestic abuse, and teal represents sexual abuse. And I was molested at 5, and then I was sexually abused from my abuser. So I said, wow. And this guy had known that. So I said the colors were purple and teal. So I had my logo, I had my name, everything, and I just went from there. And then, he planned my first event. Um, and it's been Scars of Survival Incorporated ever since 2016, October 2016. Now to fast forward to the magazine in 2017, um, I was sitting in the bedroom on the bed. There was a young lady who contacted me on Instagram. She was in a same-sex abusive relationship and she needed my help. And I would talk to her often until she was able to get out of that domestic violence relationship. And she stayed communicating with me. And one day I was on the phone with her and I said, we need a safe place to share our stories. I said, there's a magazine for everything else. But I wonder if there's a magazine for the domestic violence community. And I said, there's gotta be. She said, Miss Sathya, I don't think it is. I said, well, let me do the research. And I began my search. So Google is my best friend. And I went to Google and I started searching all different keywords. And there was no magazine for domestic violence. And I told my ex at the time, I said, this is unreal. I said, it's such a traumatic experience, such as DV, and there's no safe space to share our stories. I don't understand it. And he said, well, you're going to be the first to provide that safe space. And I said, but I don't know anything about a magazine. I don't think that's what God wants me to do. And he said, if he gave you the vision, and that's what he wants you to do. And I said, it doesn't, I don't think it makes sense. I was going around it again. And I said, I don't know nothing about a magazine at all. So when I told the young lady, she said, Miss Sathya, she said, start the magazine. She said, this will be something amazing and we need it. So I reached out to a young lady I knew who had a magazine, and I began the same thing, questioning if that's what I was supposed to be doing. And she said to me, Sathya, I'm currently in a domestic violence situation. I had no clue. And she said, you need to launch this magazine and I will help you. And I said, how much will you charge me? And she told me, and it was a small amount, and I paid her. And she taught me the basics. And she started asking me questions. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know. What do you mean? How often? I don't know. I was so clueless. And so I said, I guess every 4 months. And so the magazine was supposed to be quarterly. I came up with the name from Scars of Survival Incorporated. So I just kept the name from the nonprofit because it goes hand in hand. So that's how I came up with Scars of Survival magazine. And it was supposed to start off quarterly. It's been monthly ever since the beginning. Um, and I graced the first cover June of 2020. And when I posted it, it went crazy. The support, the love for it, everything. I was shocked. I didn't realize that so many people needed that safe space.
Yep.
And next thing you know, I started getting all these emails, contacted, I want to share my story. This is amazing. I started thinking on a bigger level for the magazine and where I wanted it to impact and, the places I wanted it to be. Um, in 2021, Fulton County gave me a proclamation for December 1st being Scars of Survival Magazine Appreciation Day. I wanted to be in Barnes and Nobles. Still don't understand how it happened so fast and the way it did, but I got an email that they were interested. It was a distribution company. They were interested in putting my magazine in Barnes and Nobles. The magazine was in Barnes. It was supposed to have been in Barnes and Nobles and Books a Million. They were supposed to split half and half. Barnes and Nobles did not do that. They took they took all of the magazines. Um, I made a mistake though because I didn't push like I should have. I should have been going to each location that the magazine was and doing signings and stuff, and I never did. Um, but long story short, I never got any magazines back, so I guess they sold out. Um, I was a little devastated because they took all the magazines and never gave any to Books a Million. But I had that opportunity. I'm listed with the Library of Congress. We've shared stories from people all over the world. Um, and I just have so much more that I want to be done with Scars of Survival magazine. And I feel like this is just the beginning.
You
We we were we were a sponsor for Celebrity Mamas Check-In. We were one of their sponsors for that show. And we just signed paperwork maybe about 4 months ago for placement in a movie, which is catered to domestic violence. It's around domestic violence. The young lady, it's a true story. It's based on a true story. And so I'm just looking forward to all of the other lives that we're going to touch. The Scars of Survival magazine experience for 2024. I
Sathya
don't,
Callender-Wilson. Listen, we gotta leave some surprises for people
yes,
because where God is taking you in 2024, you are going to bless people globally, worldwide. You're going to give people a whole experience.
absolutely.
You're going to let people be able to walk through what they went through and smile that they're here and present. You are on a tremendous journey. And I'm listening to you talk and I'm just smiling because I'm like, I wish you could see what God has for you, baby girl. But listen, alignment, obedience, discernment, trust, faith in God, and faith in self. All those things you've done and you continue to do. When we put God in front of us and we say,
Oh,
okay,
yes.
guy, I'm going and I'm going full 100, not knowing what you have ahead, but I'm trusting you. We birth amazing things that we can't even imagine. And that's how you birth scars of survival. God aligned the right people to
Yes, my
reposition you
God.
and your mind and your thoughts from you thinking, okay, this is not for me. It is for you. And God had to send you the right people to remind you where I want you to be and where I want you to stand and what I'm doing with your purpose. You had to go
Yes,
through, you
God.
had to endure for today, not just for your glory, but for my glory because you're serving my people.
Yes.
If you weren't obedient, you wouldn't be doing all the things that you are doing today. And you have to always be open to receive. And
Yes.
I've been saying it all week that we have to keep on going through people because
It's
every
so
person we go through is for a reason and a purpose, even if it may seem painful and we're like, well, God, why? He's like, hello, you're asking me why. You're not paying attention to why I put them there. I needed to change something about you. I need to pivot something. I need you to see something. I need you to see something about yourself that you stand apart from the thousands of people that are all doing the same thing. I need you to do something different because I have people that are different that need your difference to help change their lives.
absolutely.
So in 2024, give us a quick sum up of
Whew.
what we should look forward to without giving away too much because you gotta leave people suspenseful, like they need to learn,
Hmm.
they need to come and follow you, they need to listen, drop it all, not too much but enough for them to be like, I need to go find her Instagram right now. I need to be a
Okay,
part of this movement. I need to be a part of this mission because remember, purpose cannot be done alone.
that's true. Let's just say, oh, sissy, do I have to?
Without
Let's
even
just
giving
say,
away
okay,
any juicy things.
the Scars of Survival magazine experience in itself.
Hmm.
Um, you just have to follow. You got to follow Instagram, Facebook to see what's getting ready to happen. Um, oh, we just gonna say a talk show that's gonna shift y'all completely. Okay, the shift. I'll just leave those two there. I don't want to. I don't want to share the rest of it. You guys have to go to the social media platforms so you can stay connected, stay tuned for what's going to take place in 2024. I'm not going to share all of the tea. Y'all
She's
going to have to
tight-lipped,
go.
guys. You gotta go follow. Leave the social media accounts here for them so they know.
Instagram and Facebook is Scars of Survival Magazine. You can also follow my personal platforms, which on Instagram and Facebook is author Sathya Calendar. and that's SathyaCallender. And that's on Instagram and Facebook. Or again, the magazine is Scars, SCARS, of Survival Magazine. And that's on Instagram and Facebook.
And if they want to get featured or, partner or sponsor the magazine, they just contact you on the Instagram
Yes,
or
so you can, right, you can reach out on those platforms. And there's actually a link in our bio on Instagram. If you click on that link, it'll take you to the different options that we have available for you to be featured in the magazine. We have several different options. Um, we also have an option for you to place an ad in the magazine, or you can place an ad on our channel as well. So there's many different options. I would recommend to click the link in our bio on Instagram.
there you have it, guys. Thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
coming.
Thank you for having me. This was very exciting
Listen,
and
game
much needed.
changer. Listen, purpose. When you are designed and created to lead God's people, you guys look out for it.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
Sathya, Miss Sathya Callender-Wilson, thank you so much for gracing us today. And I can't wait to have another episode with you because, we didn't get to dive into everything, but next time, ooh!
Yes.
Guys, thank you so much for tuning in with me, your host, Jen Simpson, and continue to support Life's Deceits podcast. Until next time, I'm your lovely host, Jen Simpson. Bye.
Bye.
Phenomenous. Cold ink.